Greetings and welcome back to Kingdom Light News, family and guests, where we're here to shed light on a dark situation. Interesting enough, there's a lot of things that are going on that I don't think they're covering well enough, y'all. However, without any delay, let us jump straight into these topics. All right, as things are moving around, shifting, and other nations have come into clean, so to speak, our minds are being renewed through the change of obedience in Christ and His Word, and in the change of our lifestyle. In addition, our environment is changing too, y'all. It's called tropicalization. But before we can go forward into the article in our map, what is tropicalization and what areas of the globe are changing? Tropicalization is to make tropical, as in character, conditions, or appearance, or such changes have been termed tropicalization, which has been defined as an increase in the ratio of tropical to temperate, taxa or taxon, a group of any rank such as species, family, or class. So let us go to our article. As seas get warmer, tropical species are moving further from the equator. By Carolina Zarskizin, Marine Life on the Move. Tropicalization involves a wide range of marine life, from large habitat forming groups such as corals, algae, or mangrove trees, through to marine snails, reptiles, and even mammals, among many others. Nevertheless, species involved tend to have some things in common. Those which are able to move into warming seas, such as some marine snails or coral reef fishes, are good dispersers, typically able to travel further in search of suitable habitat. Simultaneously, tropical species that are more generalists in what they eat and how they behave can perform better in their new range. For example, coral reef fishes with broader diets are more successful at establishing in a new range as they are more likely to find a source of food. Ecological and evolutionary consequences. Tropicalization can impact an individual population, a whole species, or even entire ecosystems. For example, as herbivorous fishes move away from the equator, they eat lots of algae they find in their new home. This creates additional space for corals to settle in the area, contributing to further tropicalization. And as tropical sea turtles and dugongs, a cousin of the manatee, expand southwards along Australia's west coast, they are expected to greatly increase the pressure on already vulnerable seagrass meadows through their consumption. Which is interesting because I believe there was a typhoon or something like that in Australia. But however, let's read our next one. The socioeconomic consequences. The socioeconomic consequences, whether the consequences of tropicalization are positive or negative, will depend on the geographic region and the stakeholders in question. The widespread movement of the marine life is already impacting global fisheries, with regions like the Western Pacific Ocean experiencing increased catches of tropical species. However, tropicalization is also leading to a loss of commercially important temperate species and an increase in non target species being accidentally caught in fishing hauls. It's very interesting how we had all these um, migrants and immigrants coming into certain places and certain areas, especially here in the United States, right? And it's no wonder why, right? Because of tropicalization, things are moving and shifting and switching around. And let's just take a look at this map and read our legend to see what's been shifting around here. It's very interesting. Let's take a look at this. So it says an increase in tropical species, red up arrow indicates that steady shows range expansions and an increase in the abundance of tropical species. All right, so let's take a look at those red arrows. So we have red arrows and an increase right over here in California, y'all. Hallelujah, right? Y'all get some good old fish over there if you like eating fish and all that good tropical scenery that's coming around there. Yep, it's happening there in Cali. Definitely around in Florida and a little bit of parts of Georgia, it seems like. Definitely around there in South America. Uh, Interesting as we see here too, when we come over here to Africa, you see down here
roundabout on the eastern border of Africa, and then you see the western border of Africa, and right over there in the seems like right around here in the Atlantic Ocean, and coming up here, yeah, where they're fighting over here in Jerusalem, around in there, in those areas, yeah. We got some things going on, so it's a lot of increase in even over here in Australia, around the coast, but the tropicalization is going down. It's going down. And right over here in the east, on the coast of the east, is going north. So this tropicalization is very interesting. It's very erratic behavior and very unpredictable, this tropicalization of the increase. So now it says the reduction in temperate species, the blue down arrow, indicates that studies have shown a reduction in temperate species abundance, local extinctions, and range retractions. That's the blue arrow, y'all. So let's take a look at the blue arrow. Look at this right up there in that Canada area, reduction. Right over here, the islands off the coast of South America, reduction, right over there in within Africa, reduction. So be careful for some of my brothers and sisters who want to move over there and they're trying to invite you over there to those places. I mean, no offense to some of my African brothers and sisters, that I love you all so dearly, but let us just ask God first about where we should go and what we should do before you just get up and start making quick changes, right? Since we know there's a quick change in this tropicalization and this reduction. All right, coming over here in the east, over here in the east area, reduction. Over here, down here, reduction. So this just lets me know, and it should let you know in this article, tropicalization, be careful about where you go. Ask God to order your steps, because there's some people eating some very interesting thing in these places, and now it makes sense too because of tropicalization.
I want you to wake your ass up this morning and say, God, I love you, boy. You ain't make me struggle like these people.
Oh man, we just can't leave Australia. Australia, the land down under. And remember, or keep in mind, our tropicalization map. I mean, the rats are back. Well, the rats were back, guys. This happened in November 27, 2023 to be exact, by Bill Chappell. Rat plague hits an Australian coastal town, and thousands more wash up on shore. Furthermore, let us run the full clip on Tropical Cyclone Jasper, because all of this is going on in Queens Island. After the video, we'll go straight to the news article.
Ex-tropical cyclone Jasper is now a tropical low, but its tail is lingering over the Coral Sea, and that means it's continuing to rain in the far north of the states. We've also seen a number of people who had to be rescued in the town of Mossman, 12 people and a dog, I understand, and they are all safe.
Wow, you got water rolling down under there. That's awesome.
We're good, we're safe. It's just very wet.
All right, back to our article. A plague of rats is creating havoc in Karumba, a small coastal town in Queens Island, Australia, where hordes of rodents are chewing on electrical wires and otherwise eating everything they can find and washing up dead in massive numbers, creating a literal stink in the community. The stench is quite bad. Carpentera Shire Council Mayor Jack Baldwin, whose shire includes Karumba, told NPR. But if coastal winds prevail, he added, it is still livable. The rural town isn't alone. Other parts of western Queens Island are also enduring a plague of native long-haired rats, whose population exploded after copious rainfall boosted plant vegetation across hundreds of miles in the inland outback. And we know why now, cuz due to tropicalization. The long-haired rat eats shoots and leaves, and then leaves for the north, seeking more food. Researcher Emma Gray of the School of Biology and Environmental Science at Queens Island University of Technology told NPR. Like an army, the mass of rats also has a very effective and literal force multiplier. Gray says they can produce 12 young every 3 weeks when conditions are good. It's not funny, but it's horrible. As photos and video from the scene show, thousands of rat carcasses are decaying in and around Karumba after washing up in clumps on seawalls and shorelines. Let us play the video. My goodness. I mean, now look at those rats. Those rats there are like, goodness gracious, miniature hippos. I mean, they got some good swimming skills too. However, it's not unusual for thousands of visitors to descend on Karumba, whose human population number in the hundreds. Those annual guests are gray nomads, retirees who arrive in campers and RVs, drawn by the allure of scenic water views, fishing, and a laid-back atmosphere. But alarms were raised earlier this year in July. A Carpentaria official informed the Shire's council that the public have reported an increased number of rats and mice. The council considered creating a fact sheet about what the meeting minutes dubbed a rat plague. If I can recall, brothers and sisters, it said this in our text: if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear. Then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. 2 Chronicles 7:14. From baby boomers in the 40s and 60s, now this replacement fertility or sub-replacement fertility, a total fertility rate that leads to each new generation being less populous than the older previous one in a given area. And we know they're lying about this one as well, y'all. So let's go to our articles. Half of the world's population is reaching below replacement fertility. And this was posted December 11th, 2017 by Thomas Frechka. So let's go back and read this. According to the most recent UN estimates, United Nations 2017, almost one half of the world's population lives in countries with below replacement fertility, BRF, i.e., with a total fertility rate TFR below 2.1 births per woman. Of these, one quarter have TFRs close to the replacement level, i.e., between 1.8 and 2.1. The other 3/4 have really low fertility, below 1.8 births per woman. Low fertility countries are generally grouped into clusters. The main clusters are in East Asia, Southern Europe, the German-speaking countries of Western Europe, and all the former socialist countries of Central and Eastern Europe. Let's look at our table. Table 1. Main clusters of countries with below replacement fertility, TFR, around 2015 in parentheses. In East Asia, very low fertility in Japan, 1.5, y'all. China, 1.6. South Korea, 1.3. And we're going to stop right here. We'll come back. We will be going into another article in Korea. Nevertheless, it's very interesting how China, come on, somebody. It's very interesting how China boasts of having this huge army considering their fertility rate is down. They can afford to go to war. Let's go into our article of Korea. All right. From 6 children per woman to zero point 0.7. Goodness gracious. How South Korea confronts its population cliff and shrinking labor force. Now, this was published November the 2nd, 2023. The author is Darcy Draught Vajarez. The category is South Korea, guys. South Korea stands at a critical demographic juncture, facing a declining birth rate that has far reaching implications for its economy and society. The increasingly severe demographic trends have pushed the government and society to consider which policy measures might offset the social and economic consequences of demographic decline. Fertility quickly declined from an average of 6 children per woman in the 1960s to a mere zero point 0.7 children QT 2023, the lowest in the world. This figure falls well below what demographers call the population replacement rate, the birth rate at which a population exactly replaces itself from one generation to the next, typically set at around 2.1 children per woman. Indeed, in 2022, the country's total population shrank from for the second consecutive year, the first time since 1949 it had done so. Demographers predict that at this rate, the population will shrink at an outstandingly low 38 million, down from the current 5.17 million by 2070. And I mean, that's talking pretty big because 2070 is a good ways off. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, the way everything is going and time is moving fast and yeah, definitely being shortened. I don't see 2070. I really don't. I mean, I just see today. In a foreboding common phrase, Korea faces a population cliff. One worrying consequence of the top heavy population structure is a change in workforce. A shrinking working age population can stifle economic growth as a smaller labor force may not generate the same level of productivity and innovation needed to sustain South Korea's economic dynamism. As Korean baby boomers age and birth rates shrink, the working age population will fall from 72% in 2020 to 56% by 2040. Wow. All right, back in our chart and table one, we stopped at South Korea. So Taiwan 1.2, Hong Kong 1.3, Singapore 1.3, and Thailand 1.5. Also, some other Asian countries, e.g., Iran 1.6, Lebanon 1.7, and the United Arab Republics 1.7. Moderately low fertility in Bangladesh 2.1, Vietnam 2.0, Malaysia 2.0, Nepal 2.1, North Korea 1.9, Sri Lanka 2.0, as well as 3 former Soviet Caucasian republics, Armenia 1.6, Azerbaijan 2.0, and Georgia 2.0. Now let's go to the Americas. This is interesting. In the Americas, Puerto Rico 1.5, Canada 1.6 have the lowest fertility. Wow, Canada, followed by Brazil 1.7. And we saw the tropicalization reduction in Canada. Very interesting. Chile 1.8, Costa Rica 1.8, and Cuba 1.7. The United States 1.9, Colombia 1.8, and Jamaica 2.0 have fertility close to replacement, as do Australia 1.8 and New Zealand 1.9 and Oceania. In Europe, all large southern countries, Italy 1.5, Spain 1.4, Portugal 1.3, and Greece 1.3 have very low fertility, as do the German speaking countries, namely Germany 1.5 and Austria 1.5. North and West European countries tend to have fertility close to replacement. Sweden 1.9, Norway 1.8, Denmark 1.8, and Finland 1.8, as well as France 2.0, the United Kingdom 1.9, Ireland 2.0, Belgium 1.8, and the Netherlands 1.8. All right, to our next one. In the former socialist Central and Eastern Europe, virtually all countries have very low fertility. Let's reread that again. In the formerly socialist Central and Eastern Europe, virtually all countries have very low fertility, such as Poland 1.3, Romania 1.5, Ukraine 1.6, as well as the Russian Federation 1.8, and Serbia 1.6. Let us continue to read. In fact, contemporary fertility around the globe is lower than it has ever been. Since the middle of the 20th century, childbearing has declined by 50%. 50 to 60 years ago, women in developed and developing countries combined had an average 5 children, but now the world average is about 2.5 children per woman. And this is very interesting because if I can recall, during the time of a certain captivity, there was one particular nation. Goodness gracious. I mean, they had to be moving like rabbits, right? Hundreds of them, thousands of them, right? All right. So, yeah, that's our replacement fertility. However, reading further down and within this article, they tell you the things and the issues which causing the replacement fertility, right? Such as a balance between family life, work life, recreational life, just conflicting issues with life. We know that time is moving fast, brothers, sisters, and guests. For it says, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, these days shall be shortened. So we don't have to go back and forth with dogs, right? Because we're just dogs eating crumbs at the master's table. And you know they say the same thing every time. Blessings and peace. Speak with you soon.